Surya Sahu's house was cordoned. ওকে, অ্যান্ড সূর্য সাহুকে, সূর্য সাহু হচ্ছে ওখানকার যাকে বলে প্রতিপত্তিশীল লোক, আ পারসন হু হ্যাজ আ কাইন্ড অফ পাওয়ার ওভার দ্যাট এরিয়া, মানি লেন্ডার বলতে পারিস, তার সাথে সাথে হি হ্যাজ দ্য মনিটারি পাওয়ার উইথ হিম। ওকে, অ্যান্ড হি হ্যাজ brought the water into through two tubes and everything. What I find here is that, and three wells also. What I find here is that the tussle is because of the need for the basic amenities of life. One of the basic amenities of life is water. Okay, without water you cannot irrigate, you cannot sustain your life. And what we find here is that this Surya Sahu has ample amount of water, but he is not willing to give those things to the people. He is asking them to get their own water through the canal tax and everything, but for them it would be a very difficult task to cultivate after paying the tax, because no one will buy vegetables or any kind of product, any kind of cultivation that they would create after the addition of the taxes to the cost of production. ওকে, জিনিসের দাম তো বেড়ে যাবে, যে ট্যাক্সটা সে ক্যানেল ট্যাক্সটা দিয়ে সে চাষ করছে, সেই ট্যাক্সটা তো অবভিয়াসলি চাষি তার মধ্যে ধরে তারপর তো বিক্রি করবে, বাট নো ওয়ান উইল অ্যাড or no one will buy those things after the taxes are added. ওকে, যে প্রাইস রাইস হলে তাদের থেকে কেউ কিনবে না, স্পেশালি প্যাডি, চাল, যেটা হচ্ছে বীরভূম বা বর্ধমান এলাকা, যেই সমস্ত এলাকায় থেকে তাদের হচ্ছে চাষাবাদ তাদের রয়েছে, এটা বীরভূমের কথা বলা হয়েছে। What we find here is that taking the advantage of drought season, সুখার হচ্ছে সাহায্য নিয়ে এই লোকটা সূর্য সাহু সে কি করছে, সে নিজের ধানি জমিতে নিজের জায়গায় হচ্ছে আনলিমিটেড ওয়াটার হচ্ছে নিয়ে আসছে, টিউবওয়েলস দিয়ে, ওয়েলস দিয়ে। What we find here is that as I was telling before also in the previous class, that there is this quite distinction, there is this quite demarcation of haves and have-nots which has been created over here. ওকে, হ্যাভস অ্যান্ড হ্যাভ নটস কেন বলছি, কারণ হচ্ছে একটা শ্রেণীর কাছে অনেকটা পর্যায়ে হচ্ছে জিনিসপত্র চলে আসছে, বা যে জিনিস দিয়ে তারা বেঁচে থাকতে পারবে, আর একটা শ্রেণীর কাছে সেই জিনিসটাই হচ্ছে নেই। ঠিক আছে, এটা তো সবসময় হতে থাকে, একটা শ্রেণীর কাছে আছে আর নেই, কিন্তু বেসিক অ্যামিনিটিস যেগুলো, যেরকম ওয়াটার, সেটাই যখন হচ্ছে স্কেয়ার্স হয়ে যাচ্ছে, সেটাই যখন হচ্ছে তাদের কাছ থেকে হচ্ছে দূরে সরে যাচ্ছে, তখন প্রবলেমটা শুরু হচ্ছে। ক্লিয়ার? গেট ইউ ওয়াটার উইথ দ্য ক্যানেল ট্যাক্স, everything's on fire, but so get out of here. So just how is asking them to get out of that place. I don't accept your panchayat nonsense. Increase cultivation with water. You want half the paddy for sharecropping. Everyone is happy with free paddy. Then give me paddy at home, give me money. I have learned my lesson trying to do you good. So just how is being selfish. He is becoming money minded as he was before also. He is asking them to give them the half the paddy. Okay, he wants these people wants the half the paddy for sharecropping, but Surya Sahu is focusing on the thing that he is not willing to give those things. What good did you do? The rebels are asking whether any good Surya Sahu has done to them. Have I not given you water to the village? You will give it to your own kin, Bhagunal. Don't you get water? No, the untouchables don't get water. So এখানটায় শুধু হচ্ছে শেয়ার ক্রপিং, বা এখানটায় শুধু হচ্ছে যাকে বলে ক্রপিং বা কাল্টিভেশন নিয়ে হচ্ছে কথা না, what it comes to is that the idea or the process that was very prevalent, very ardently prevalent in this place, or very strictly prevalent in this place, or throughout India, better to say, is untouchability. Okay, so they are putting the untouchables were not used or not given the permission to get to the wells of the upper class of the society, and that is one of the reason behind Mahatma Gandhi's um, want of, or Mahatma Gandhi's movement of bringing down untouchability. So let's not get into that mode again. What we find here is that we have dealt with it in previous classes, Hind Swaraj and everything. So what we find here is that the quarrel that is here is not just about the economic sharing or the necessities of life, but what we find here is that the social existence of the people is also in question. তাদের এক্সিস্টেন্সটা, সোসাইটিতে তাদের এক্সিস্টেন্সটা, সেটাও একটা কোয়েশ্চেনের মুখে। কেন? কারণ সেই এক্সিস্টেন্সটা কি করছে, সেই এক্সিস্টেন্সটা এই কোয়েশ্চেনের মধ্যে এনে এমন একটা জিনিস তৈরি করে দিচ্ছে যেটা কি ডিভাইড তৈরি করছে। এবার সূর্য সাহু নাও হ্যাজ আ so called legitimate cause, though it is not legitimate obviously. He has a legitimate cause which can be supported by the upper class, or the upper class of the society, or the upper caste, that is untouchability. They would not allow people from untouchable sections, so called untouchable sections, to get the water which will actually impure them. Okay, so the quarrel began. In the drought, human patience catches easily. Satish and Jugal from the village, and that young gentleman was Rana his name, said a land-owing money lender won't give you a thing. Put him down. And that is the starting of the rebellion. Okay, they were quarreling and they were arguing over the need for water and everything, but what we find, they thought of bringing this oppressor down, that is Surya Sahu down, and by down he means to kill that person. By down they mean to do away with these kind of people's power. Okay, and what we will find here is that one kind of incident, this kind of incident which turns out to be not a single one, but what it turns out to be a factor in destroying every other incidents or every other people who are the oppressor. It becomes a chain reaction. Okay, it spreads throughout the area. Surya Sahu's house was surrounded at night. Surya Sahu had brought out his gun. Surya was tied with cow rope. His whitish eyeballs turned and turned. He was incontinent again and again. Dulna had said, I will have the first blow, brothers. My great-grandfather took a bit of paddy from him, and I will give him free labor to repay that debt. Okay, so what we find here is that this incident of the oppressor being oppressor, okay, or his magnanimity of being the oppressor, obviously irony, his ability of being the oppressor is not just based on this drought. Okay, it is not just because of this situation, the climatic situation of drought. সে প্রথমবার হচ্ছে এটা করছে না, এখন শুকা হয়েছে তাই তার জল আটকে রাখছে না। ওকে, সে যুগ যুগ ধরে এই একই কাজ করে আসছে, সে শোষণ করে আসছে যুগ যুগ ধরে। সে শোষণের কাজটা সে এখন শুধু করছে না, যে এখন তার ঘরে টান পড়েছে বা এলাকায় জলের টান পড়েছে তার জন্য সে এরকম করছে না। He has done this before also. Okay, my great grandfather, তাহলে বুঝতে পারছিস কত জেনারেশন আগে, গ্র্যান্ডফাদারের বাবা, ঠিক আছে, ফাদার অফ দ্য গ্র্যান্ডফাদার ওয়াজ অ্যাসোসিয়েটেড উইথ হিম, ওকে, হি ate something, a bit of paddy from him and everything, and he wants to, Dulna wants to repay him for that debt. Obviously it is not actual repaying, it is just hitting him, okay, hitting him, a free labor which would be actually being done, which was actually being done in order to um, put the oppressor on his toes and forcing him to understand what he is actually doing. Clear? So what we find here is that the marginal sections, or the what can you say, the periphery is now challenging the center, okay, the power center. The periphery is bringing in all its might and destroying everything, destroying any kind of, what can you say, a dependency on the oppressor or the center, and trying to kill and trying to destroy the oppressor's power that has been exerted over them over years. ওকে, তারা শুধু হচ্ছে এইখানটায় নিজের ডিস্ট্রাকশনে বিশ্বাসী না, তারা হচ্ছে শুধু নিজের ডিস্ট্রাকশন বা নিজের কি কন্ডিশন হবে সেটার উপরে বিশ্বাসী না। হোয়াট দে আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি ডুইং, they are actually trying to revolutionize this process of the periphery hitting the center with its power that it has, okay, because over years and years the center has oppressed the people who are at the periphery, ওকে, যারা পেরিফেরিতে রয়েছে তাদেরকে সবসময় তারা কি করেছে, তারা হচ্ছে অ্যাটাক করে গেছে, তাদেরকে তারা হচ্ছে যাকে বলে কষ্ট দিয়ে গেছে, রাইট, বাট নাও ইট ইজ দ্য টাইম দে উড ব্রিং দ্যাট ব্যাক টু দেম, দ্য সেন্টার, দ্য পিপল অ্যাট দ্য সেন্টার, ওকে। এবার সেন্টার বলতেই কিন্তু হচ্ছে তোর গভর্নমেন্টের কথা বলছে না, কিন্তু সেন্টার বলতে ওই লোকালাইজ যে সেন্টারটা, এখানটায় সূর্য সাহু যার রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ, সূর্য সাহু ইজ দ্য রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ অফ দ্য সেন্টার, সেন্ট্রাল পাওয়ার that is over there, the money lenders, the everything, okay. So what we find here is that they are bringing their blows down in order to destroy things, okay, destroy the link where the center is the oppressor and the center is bringing in things to destroy, or had been bringing in things to destroy the periphery. So now the periphery is hitting back. Clear? Draupadi had said, his mouth watered when he looked at me, I will pull out his eyes. So the oppression is not just on the economical level, the oppression is not just based on, what can you say, the cultivation of the economical level. It was more importantly or more based on this physical, sexual kind of thing, because Draupadi said that this person, Surya Sahu, was, to put it simply, was physically attracted to Draupadi. Or it is not just Draupadi but any oppressed women, any woman who is at the periphery. Okay, so his mouth watered when he looked at me. So he, what can you say, সে লালসায় পরিপূর্ণ ছিল, ঠিক আছে, he was filled with lust for Draupadi, and she, being a oppressed woman, দুটো, সে কিন্তু doubly oppressed, mind it, Draupadi is doubly oppressed. First of all, being a Santal, being a tribal, she is oppressed, and secondly she is a woman within that Santal community. Most of the communities that we find over in this world, most of the communities, not all, are patriarchal in structure, right? So in this case Draupadi also, being a woman, is doubly oppressed. Clear? And so for her this oppression was not just because of the lack of water or the cultivation, anything that is leading to cultivation, but also because of the sexual angle that is linked with it. Clear? So what we find here is that this existence of people uh, who are to face this kind of trouble, they are also addressing their anger in this mode of revolution. তারা এই রেভলিউশনের মধ্যে দিয়ে সমস্ত রকমের বদলা নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছে। ক্লিয়ার? এইখানটায় তাহলে উইমেনদের অবস্থাও কিরকম সেটাও বুঝতে হচ্ছে। যাই হোক, সূর্য সাহু, then a telegraphic message from Shuri, special train, army, the jeep didn't come up to Bakuli. March, 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 the crunch, crunch, crunch of gravel under the hobnailed boot. Cordon up, commands on the mic, Jugal Mandal, Satish Mandal, Rana, alias Prabir, alias Deepak, Dulna, Majhi, Dobdi, Mejen, surrender, surrender. No surrender, surrender. Mau, 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 down the village. Put, put, put. Quartile in the air, put, put, round the clock, put, put. So what is this? The attack on the center, the attack on the power center of this place is bringing out or bringing in the army, bringing in the jeep, because they were considered to be rebellious against the government. Okay, they are obviously doing a wrong thing by killing a person, right? But the problem with this society is that people do not, or the law do not consider what made that person do that heinous job or that murder or anything of that sort. Okay, so Surya Sahu, being a so-called member of the common man in the sense that he is not a rebel, he is what can you say, a gentle person according to the law books of the society, because he is doing his job, he is producing, he is cultivating, he is not a rebel, he is not challenging any law. Unfortunately, these tribals who have no other way but to get everything that they have by this challenge, through this kind of revolt, they are coming against the society because they are challenging the law by taking law into their own hands, right? Tai they are becoming the, what can you say, the enemy of the law, enemy of the government by killing Surya Sahu. Okay, and that is why this miking, this coming of the special train, coming of the army is to be destroying, is being brought about to destroy the whole situation, okay, or the whole community who is revolting or take control of the situation. Clear? Flamethrower, Bakuli is burning, more men and women, children, fire, fire. So what we find here is that there is this destruction is being done in order to catch these rebels, these tribal people. What we find here is that over by nightfall, Dobdi and Dulna had crawled on their stomachs to safety. So they had eloped. They eloped from that place where this army was brought down. Clear? They could not have reached Patalkuri after Bakuli. Bhupati and Tapa took them. Then it was decided that Dobdi and Dulna would work around Jharkhani belt. So this rebel group is now spreading everywhere. And what we find here is that they are fighting against the oppressor. And Dulna and Dobdi escaped this situation after the army was brought in, and Dobdi and Dulna was given the charge of the Jharkhani belt, okay, where they would work along and they would bring this rebellion to every nook and corner. Clear? Dulna had explained to Dobdi, "Dear, this is best. We won't get family and children this way." So, as if it shows that, as if for the cause they believe in, for the rebellion they believe in, what they are doing, they are bringing in their own ideology of not having children, because starting a family would actually hamper their ideology. When a family would be created, when a child would be there, innocent child, obviously, when they would be aligned with a child, they would have a weak thing, they would have a weakness within them, and that would actually force them to give up this kind of path, and that would be a hindrance for them, right? So it shows that how dedicated they are to this cause of the periphery attacking the center. Things fall apart, center cannot hold. তোরা পড়বি নিশ্চয়ই বা পড়েছিস লাইন্সগুলো. What I find here is that it has a great significance, a significant meaning is associated with this, because for anything, any society, any community, anything to be held together, center has a great power. Okay, to hold together this society, to hold together this community, the people who are at the center, who have the power, they have a great, what can you say, great power within their hands. They should take things into their own hands in order to control the situation, right, in a sensible way. But unfortunately, in every case where it has fallen down, you will see that it was not because of the rebellion of the marginal people. It is not just because of the marginal people or the periphery who has fought back, but primarily it is because that the center who was the oppressor, center who was oppressing throughout a number of days, throughout their whole existence, maybe on the periphery, on the people at the periphery, on the things that are at the periphery. What we find here is that by doing that, they had actually instigated the periphery to fight or take this step of fighting. Okay, and because of that, this empire has collapsed, or anything, not just the empire, the society has collapsed. So it is, the onus falls on the center. So things will fall apart only when the center cannot hold. Okay, things will fall apart when the center, the people, the thing, anything that is at the center cannot hold. Why this is so? This is so because the people who are at the center should be sensible enough to control everything. And this is what is happening over here. Surya Sahu, who could have been much more sensible enough to take things which would be beneficial for the society. But what I find here is that because of his greed, because of his lust, because of his love for power and his what can you say, ambition, or maybe because of his adamancy or his adamant nature, he brings down not just his life, he is killed not just because of his own actions, but because of the action of people like him, okay, who have been consistent in destroying the people's life who are at the periphery, especially the tribals. Clear? But what we find? We find according to the law, according to the army books, and according to the law, the commands that are given to the army to bring this rebellion down, according to them, the tribals are the culprit because they have expressed their anger against these people, expressed their anger against the people who are the oppressor or who are the oppressor. Clear? So let's come back to the ideology part. What we find here is that Dulna and Dobdi believe that because of their ideology, because of their belief in this ideology, because of this war that they are in, they should not be involved in the family making process. They should not get any children. Okay. But who knows, landowner and moneylender and policeman might one day be wiped out. So what we find here is that this whole existence is brought down, or they have this hope of bringing down everything. So this is reminiscing. Okay, this is Dobdi reminiscing what had happened before. Why they are searching Dobdi, ঠিক আছে, তাকে কেন খুঁজছে এতদিন অবধি। সো এইটাই হচ্ছে রিজনটা যেটা হচ্ছে এখানটায় বলা হচ্ছে। বাট নাও she is coming back to reality. She is asking who called her from the back today, because no one knows her real name in this place. Clear? So who is calling her now? Dobdi kept walking. Villages and fields, bush and rock, public works department makers, sound of running steps in back, only one person running. Jharkhani forest still about 2 miles away. Now she thinks of nothing but entering the forest. She must let them know that the police have set off notices for her again. So Dobdi is walking because she does not look back when her name is being called, especially in this place, and also because she has seen the poster, she has seen the notice where there is a hunt being announced against Dobdi Mejen. Okay, so she is walking and she is crossing one thing and another. Even Public Works Department. What is Public Works Department? PWD. You have seen in different places. Road maintained by PWD. So what we find here is that the Jharkhani forest is 2 miles away. Okay. But if she turns back, there would be a confirmation to the fact that she is Dobdi. And now what she is feeling? She is feeling that more than her life, it is important for her to inform the other members of the community or the rebellious community to to fight along these lines, because the police has put a notice for that. Okay, police has put a notice for that, and people should be aware of this. People actually means this people, the rebellious community. But how would she inform them? Must tell them that the bastard Sahib has appeared again. Okay, must change hideouts. So it is very important for them to change hideouts, because they are now setting up traps for them to kill, for them to for they would be seeked out at any moment. Okay. Also the plan to do to Lakhi Bera and Narayan Bera what they did to Surya Sahu on account of the trouble over paying the field hands to Sandara must be cancelled. So the next plans that they had was to kill Lakki Bera and Narayan Bera, who are also the money lenders and landowners of those places, should be put on hold for the moment. It should be cancelled because army is there, new people are there. In order to be, they should be brought into, what can you say, consideration. The presence of this army should be brought into consideration, else they would be caught red-handed. Okay. Shomai and Buddha knew everything and they have escaped from this place. They have eloped, right? There was the urgency of great danger under Dobdi's reap. Now she thought there was no chance, as a Santal in Shomai and Buddha as treachery. Dobdi's blood was the pure, unadulterated black blood of Champabhumi. From Champabhumi to Bakuli, the rise and set of million moons. Their blood could have been contaminated. Dobdi felt proud of her forefathers. They stood guard over their women's body in black armor. Shomai and Buddha are half-breeds, the fruits of the war, contribution of Radhabhumi by the American soldiers stationed at Shiandaga. Otherwise, Crow would eat crow's flesh before Santal would betray Santal. So what we see here is that she is valorizing her own existence. Okay, she is valorizing her own existence by saying that she is of the pure blood, pure black blood. By saying that she is a pure Santal, and for a Santal, it is very important to stand by the cause. Okay, people would not betray people. People would not betray other Santals. Okay, Santals would not betray other Santals. What Shomai and Buddha had done is only because they are half blood. Okay, their blood is contaminated because of the American soldiers being stationed over here, because they are of mixed breed. So what I find here is that there is this layers of analogy or layers of history, where we find that Dulna wants to project here that this Shomai and Budna are actually illegitimate child of American soldiers. Okay, and it is because of that they are not pure Santals, and it is because of this thing that they have turned out to be treacherous people. Okay, and it is because that Santal would never betray a Santal, and that is their belief. And Shomai and Budna are illegitimate sons of American soldiers when they were stationed in Shiandaga, and that is the result. They are betraying Santal, of their common folk. They are betraying common people, their own people, better to say. Okay, what we find here is that the layers of Santal infiltration is there. Why layers? Because not all Santals are rebellious. Okay, there is this layer where a section of Santal who are in favor of the army. They are helping the army, right? But what we find here is that it is common in every community. Bibhishan সব জায়গায় আছে, right? And it is everyone who is living in Lanka is not as cruel as Ravan, or is not a supporter of Ravan, right? So what we find here is that everyone who is belonging to the Santal community is not aligned to the cause in the same amount. Okay, in the same quantity. They are not rebellious. Some people are there only to get benefit out of that situation. Some people are there to be adverse to the Santal cause and bring down information to the army, right? So, and also there are people who are not directly linked with the rebellion, but they are helping them by giving the food, giving them shelter and everything. So it is more likely like a common society's uprising, common society's rebellion. But what we find here is that there is this kind of aloofness that is being imposed because of their community, because of they being the tribals or the Santals. Okay, and we, the Bhadralok community, sitting in our closed or what can you say, comfortable rooms in Kolkata and wherever we're not, we are considering these people to be community who are actually who should actually be punished. Okay, there are people who think these things, and that is why the community who has gone there, the army community who has gone there, or the people who are engaged in mitigating this whole situation or this revolution, they are not believing in any kind of talks. Okay, they consider them to be revolutionaries and they should be put down by revolution only, or their counter resurgency. Okay, so what we find here is that Ekhantai, they are not in a place to talk among themselves to help their cause or help their situation, not cause, help their situation for their betterment. Only the Bhadralok community consider that, oh, moneylender ke mereche, moneylenders are quite similar to us. They should not have done this. The Bhadralok community, sitting in their comfortable rooms, chairs, offices, they consider that these people should be taught a lesson. Okay, because as if they have killed one of us, a person who is actually law abiding like Surya Sahu. Actually they are not. They might be law abiding according to the government, but he is one of the notorious person who can act under the law, who are acting under the law in order to destroy the whole society. Right? That is the difference. Surya Sahu is taking the shelter of the law, or being a law abiding person, he is destroying the community who are dependent on him. Okay, let's end it here today. Next day we will continue.